frat shut down after explicit video from a possible hazing event makes its rounds online. A fraternity at Indiana University has been ordered to cease and desist all activities after a video of what may be a sexual hazing event at the frat was posted on Reddit.
David Bogenberger's life came to a tragic end during a hazing ritual at the Pi Kappa Alpha Fraternity House at Northern Illinois University. His death has led to 22 fraternity members being charged with violating Illinois' hazing statute.
Death of a college freshman. Michael Dang died 2 years ago after a brutal beating from his frat brothers. Now 37 people face charges, including 5 young men for murder. ABC's Lindsay Davis here with the details. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. It's taken 2 long years for this investigation police describe as being stymied by a massive cover-up. Now Dang's family describes feeling relief that those responsible for taking their son's life will be held responsible.
Any action or situation that intentionally or recklessly endangers the mental or physical health of a student's safety. That is Penn State's definition of hazing. But there's a plethora of times that this anti-hazing policy has done little to affect the pledging process behind these fraternities. Hazing is a lot more than its definition. Let's look further into the controversy of Penn State's fraternities.
Scandal at Penn State, where a fraternity was suspended earlier this year for sexual assault and extreme hazing. A whistleblower is now suing the university, claiming the school ignored his graphic evidence of these dangerous activities. ABC's Lindsay Davis here with the story. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. Some of what this former student says happened to him and others who were also being hazed is simply too graphic for morning television. And while he says he never intended to be a whistleblower, he says the school left him no other option.
Earlier this year in May, Kappa Delta Rho's recognition at Penn State was revoked for a 3-year-long sentence due to the commonly known controversy of their private Facebook group containing inappropriate photos of women. Shortly after, in June, a previous member of the university filed suit against the fraternity. James Vivenzio, a freshman in 2012, had learned that there was a no hazing policy before rushing for a fraternity, which made him feel more confident in pledging with Kappa Delta Rho. However, this was not the case. During his time as a pledge, he states that he was subjected to reckless, barbaric, and life-threatening hazing. His complaint additionally mentioned that the fraternity's policy was that any complaint or fleeing of a pledge would result in even more hazing for the remaining pledges who stayed. After failing his freshman year, Vivenzio returned home to seek help for alcohol abuse and post-traumatic stress, all of which he had allegedly acquired from KDR's hazing. Looking at Vivenzio's experience, it isn't too difficult to imagine that other pledges of fraternities all over the U.S. have had psychological problems from these acts of hazing. But why do they go through it? What makes these young men so willing to experience these terrible events? Hazing has been around for hundreds of years. It actually started out in the 1600s with something called penalism, an act of grooming underclassmen before they graduated from college. This small form of initiation has taken a turn for the worse. The hazing of today involves physical and mental abuse through forced acts such as running, push-ups, and planks, all intensified by things like sleep deprivation and excessive alcohol consumption. So is hazing truly a known issue at Penn State, specifically amongst the students themselves? You may get a different answer depending on who you ask.
I think they should, because a lot of the times it's a lot of physical stuff that like people get hurt or injured, or like mocking themselves and like making them feel bad about themselves, which is like not something you should want to do if you want to be a part of an organization.
You know, I think the university probably does enough. I think it's hard to really control all of it, and I think they do a pretty good job regulating it when it gets too out of hand.
I don't know, just kind of like investigate it more, like look into people, like their organizations, and see if there's, I don't know, any way to like reprimand like the older members or something like that. I don't know.
As you can see, there are mixed opinions on whether or not the university does enough in terms of hazing. But is it really up to the university to be disciplinarian in the first place? The Interfraternity Council, created in 1920 by then President Sparks and Dean of Men Arthur Warnock, was established to help rein in the existing and future fraternities due to their disagreeable social behaviors. Nowadays, the IFC dishes out fine after fine, occasionally withholding diplomas, suspending frats, or in extreme cases, completely dismissing the frat from existence here at Penn State. So where does this leave us? KDR is suspended, but what about the other fraternities still in existence here at the university? Alpha Epsilon Pi, or AE Pi for short, was booted out for hazing in 2010, but reformed in 2012 with a new chapter, which prided itself on no hazing. However, an anonymous source from AE Pi reported that the new chapter still hazes to some extent. We reached out to the IFC for a comment regarding hazing here at Penn State, but they declined to comment. Whatever the case may be, let us leave you with this. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.